You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Watson's Playbook. All right, guys. Welcome into episode number 31 of Watson's Playbook here. Hope you guys have had a fantastic week. My week's been pretty good so far. Just been working, picking up extra hours. It's getting cold here in Texas, and today's high was only 48. So that is cold for us Texans. It's supposed to be rainy, and I'm not looking forward to that. It's cold and wet. So we had quite a bit happening this week in sports. Some big breaking news today we'll get into. And let's go ahead and start with your weekly sports update. Number one, Jalen Hurts gets his first start and his first win as the Eagles upset the Saints. Jalen didn't look all that great. He only threw for 167 yards, but he also added 106 on the ground, and they relied on Miles Sanders as well as he rushed for 115 yards. Taysom Hill only had 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. The Saints started off really slow. They started picking it up at the end of the game, but they ended up ultimately ran out of time. And the Eagles get the upset, which is great. I needed the Saints to lose. Green Bay wins and clinch their division because of their win. And Eagles helped me out big time because the Packers move up into the number 1 seed. Jalen Hurts will be the quarterback next week as well. So it looks like Carson Wentz. If you listen to the last episode number 30, we talked all about Carson Wentz, and it looks like he might be on the trading block if they can find someone to take him. Number 2, the Bills hand the Steelers their second loss in a row. This was a sloppy game with fumbles left and right from both teams. Big Ben had 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. Josh Allen had 1 interception as well. Their Steelers rolling along, but their schedule has been easier opponents. Throughout this year, the Steelers have played pretty easy opponents, and they've gotten by with their defense, and Ben Roethlisberger wasn't turning over the football. But he's been turning over the football as of late. They can't find a consistent ground game with the Steelers. They've been throwing the ball a lot and forcing Big Ben to throw the ball a lot, and they're hoping that he doesn't make mistakes and relying on their defense a lot, which has put them in a bad situation when you're facing really good teams. They've now lost two games in a row, and we'll see where they go from here. Number 3, the Chiefs get the job done as Miami makes it close, but they end up falling 33-27. Patrick Mahomes has done something he's never done before in an NFL game, and that was throw 3 interceptions. But they still find a way to win. In the end, Tua had 300 yards, as the Dolphins are going to be a tough team and a promising team in the future. But the Chiefs find a way to get the job done. And Patrick Mahomes, throwing 3 interceptions, but ultimately still winning the game. Number 4, Vikings missed 3 field goals and an extra point as they lead points on the board, losing to the Bucs 26-14. Neither of the quarterbacks played that great. Brady was under 200 yards, and Cousins only had 1 touchdown. With this loss, that puts the Vikings outside of the playoffs right now, looking to fight their way back in. The Cardinals took over that spot because they won this last weekend as well and kicked the Vikings out there. Still could be in it in the end of the season, but they've got to start putting wins up on the board. Number 5, Packers get the win in Detroit, 31-24. Rodgers had 3 touchdowns and 1 rushing as well. That clinches the NFC North, like I talked about a little earlier, and the Saints lost as well, so that puts the Packers in the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed is going to be huge for Green Bay. Green Bay has been to 4 NFC championship games, and they've all been on the road. To have one go through Green Bay gives us a great advantage with the cold weather, and I'm hoping we can keep that number 1 spot and keep it going. Number 6 was called, I didn't get to watch it, the game of the year last night was the Browns versus the Ravens. Baltimore picks up the win as they keep their playoff hopes alive as they win 47-42. This game was back and forth between each team. Most of the scoring was done in the second half. The Browns scored 22 points in the fourth quarter alone. Baker Mayfield looked great. He stepped up to the plate last night. He had 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chubb ran for 82 yards, but they ended up falling short. They drove down the field late and scored the go-ahead touchdown, but they left too much time on the clock as Lamar Jackson. He only threw for 163 yards, but he ran for 124 yards. And as he led the team down to kick a 55-yard field goal to win the game. I hear the game was epic. I hear it was supposed to be the best game of the year, or was the best game of the year. I didn't record it, so I'm a little upset at myself that I did not as well. And I also picked the Browns to win. So double whammies on my end all around. So that's going to be your weekly sports update and NFL recap from last week. Let's go ahead. Here's my buddy Jeff. You know him. He's been on here plenty of times. How's it going, Jeff? How's your week been?
It's going pretty good. Snowing here.
Nice.
We've had snow for, I'd say, the last 2.5 days, and the sun came out today. And then I think we're going to get some more snow Friday. So it's been about 30s and 30s, and then at night in the teens. So feels like December.
yeah, right. Christmas is literally right around the corner. It's supposed to, I think for Christmas here, it's supposed to be like in the 50s. So, which I'm fine with that. I don't need a snowy Christmas, and this isn't Colorado, so I'll take it.
No, you need a Green Bay Christmas.
Hey, maybe one day. When I will go to Lambeau Field one day, and I'm debating on either going when it's nice or going when it's super cold and snowy, so I can experience that snow game in Green Bay. But I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
But other than that, just I did manage to watch. Well, I didn't. I think I watched towards the end of it, but I did listen to it on the radio. I did watch the Bronco game, and they did pretty good.
Win?
They did, yeah, we did. Defense kind of fell apart at the end, but I don't fault them on that. We got kind of bitten by the cornerback bug, so we had a few cornerbacks injured, and I think even yesterday I found out there was a few of them that are out. One of them has
Who did y'all play this last weekend?
Carolina.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. We played
so
them.
McCaffrey's out, so if he's out for your game,
okay.
Yeah, McCaffrey's out.
That's good. That's good for us.
But other than that, yeah, they played pretty well. Offensive line played insane, and what's crazy is before that game we had tons of injuries. Tons of people not going to play. This person's not going to play. So going in, they kind of had to just pace together the offense, parts of the defense, It was just insane. So our offensive line, there was one guy in particular that he wasn't even playing most of the year, and they threw him in there because we had an injury. Garrett Bowles was out due to illness. I think they said it was food poisoning possibly. So he had the Michael Jordan illness. But so they had him out when the guy they brought in was phenomenal. He went up against one of the top pass rushers in the league, and Locke didn't get sacked. I think he got sacked once, but I wouldn't necessarily blame. I mean, that there was somebody didn't block there, and I don't know if it was the running back or not, but Locke got lit up in one play. But other than that, nothing from that guy. So that guy just came out of nowhere, kind of. So if he kind of keeps that up, then I think we pretty much may have fixed our entire offensive line, which is insane. So, and when you have an offensive line do that well, you have a quarterback that has a 77% completion rating, 86 QBR, 280 yards passing, and 4 touchdowns. So, I mean,
offensive line does measures when you have a good one and allow your back to do those things, make his different reads.
Good running game sets up good passing game. Good offensive line sets up the offense. So it's just it's crazy.
Right. Well, we play the Panthers this week. We actually play on Saturday. There's 2 games on Saturday this week. We play the Saturday night game, so I'll be able to stay up and watch that one. So that's good for us.
We play. I think we play Buffalo. So there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk right now with Drew Lock, and are we starting to see a turnaround? It's just. I want to say it's weird. You see these weird flashes where he has a game where it's like, man, he looks really good. I mean, elite status. And so then you'll get the one game where he won't. And I think what he keeps referring to this is, I don't want to pressure myself, and I don't want to force something that's not there. So I think that's what he's starting to learn, is that if he starts to force things, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to force yourself into an interception, and I think if he allows himself to play against the defense and give what the defense is giving him, then I think he'll do well. I think it'll be a different story for his career. And it seems like that's what he was doing. And there was one quote that was talked about by one of the players. I think it's KJ Hamler, who is a beast, came out of nowhere, wide receiver. And he said that there was a play where Locke audibled, and it was a slight change. And Locke basically said, just go, and I'm going to throw it and run this instead, because defense isn't giving us this. So he changed the play up, and that ended up with a massive pass, long, huge heave, and KJ Hamler scored a touchdown off of it. And I'm like, I'm starting to see he may be learning now, and he may be reading defenses better. And whatever game plan Denver drew up for him in that game, keep it going, because he looked good.
Yeah, I noticed y'all. I noticed y'all are winning. I didn't. I forgot who y'all are playing. The Panthers. Panthers are a decent team. Teddy Bridgewater. They added a coach that I like. He's a coach that's from college, Matt Rule. He coached in Baylor here in Texas, and then the offensive coordinator for that team is the coordinator that just came off the offensive coordinator from LSU, just won the championship. So they're trying to figure things out. They have Teddy Bridgewater, and they got a good. I don't know how good their defense is anymore. They used to be pretty good. I know Luke Kuechly stepped away this season, and retired. But
I mean, they're kind of. It's kind of like, if they can. A lot of people aren't. They're kind of looking at it and they're throwing away the game, like, oh, let's get Panthers, and I'm like, man, you got to get your experience where you can get it. And I think that there's a lot of promise there. No interceptions, dude. No turnovers from Locke. it was just, a few questionable calls in the fourth quarter, especially when we were way back in our own, basically our own end zone. There were a few questionable calls, but I don't know if that was just luck or if that was the offensive coordinator calling the wrong plays or what. But there was some issues at the end of the game. But I'm telling you, if he can pull something, if he can play that good, I mean, he doesn't have to put up the same numbers because I don't know if that's possible. But if he can play no turnovers, take what the defense is giving you against the Bills, now we're starting to see something out of this, which is good.
And it's gonna be a big good test because the Bills are one of the top teams in the AFC. So
yeah.
All right, let's jump into some sidelines edition. We had some breaking news in the NBA today. Kind of surprised me that it came this early. The Greek freak Giannis signs a max deal to stay with the Milwaukee Bucks. And he has talked about staying there, and he has talked about trying to beat the super teams, not joining up with anybody. But then he kind of, made some quotes that made you change his mind. And the Bucks organization told him, look, we are willing to go into the negative on the money side of it to give you players to play with. They signed Drew Holiday in this offseason. They also thought they had a deal with Bogdanovich from Sacramento, but they failed to talk to Bogdanovich, the Kings, and he declined the trade, and he actually went somewhere else. So I didn't know if that was going to be a red flag for Giannis about getting guys there. Is this guy not want to come here? Why did that fall through? But he ends up signing and staying, and that doesn't happen a lot in the NBA. I'm kind of happy it did. Or I would have liked to see him go play with Luka Doncic in Dallas. But he decides to lock it up there in Milwaukee, and he's locked into Milwaukee for the next 5 years, $228 million, I believe.
Whew. Big money.
big money. The other baseball news, or sorry, not baseball news.
Well, I mean, before we get to the next topic, I mean, it's a surprise. I guess he could have taken the easy way out and said, I'm out, and then gone to a team that kind of has things put together already. I think it would be easy that way. But I do have
about the Kevin Durant route.
Yeah, going on the Mavericks, going wherever, and creating, making a bigger winning now as opposed to waiting. But I do have some respect for players that decide to stick around and go through the tough times, and make those championship memories a little bit more legitimate, my opinion. And so, kind of that Dirk Nowitzki mentality where it's like he could have easily, if he had gone, imagine if he had gone to LA, and played with Kobe, right? I mean, it just would have been easy. And I think that
it would have been unfair.
It would have been easy. It would have been too easy.
It's the exact same reason I don't respect Kevin Durant. I don't respect his titles. Dirk Nowitzki's one title, in my opinion, is way worth more than Kevin Durant's 2 or 3. I don't know how many he has. So I do not respect Kevin Durant. I think he took the coward's way out and the easy way out. And I respect Giannis for staying. If he would have went somewhere, so the Lakers last year or the year before last year, they were bad. All they had was LeBron James. They added Anthony Davis over the offseason. It wasn't a super team. It was just them two and a bunch of scrubs. But we were able to go and win a championship. So I think if he went somewhere like Dallas that only has Luka, or Miami that only has like Jimmy G, and they have some good role players, but not another superstar, I don't think it really discredits it because it's not a super team where you have 3 or 4 stars. But I agree. Him staying there, and if they go and win it, they're already a good basketball team. They were the number 1 seed last year in the Eastern Conference, so they are already at the point where they can win it or come close to winning it all. They just need a couple more pieces to go in there. And Drew Holiday is a decent guy. They gave up quite a bit for him, but he is a guy who can come in and help.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the outcome of this when basketball starts soon. Preseason already started.
We're already in preseason. Lakers are looking to repeat. We got better roster. I can't wait for the season, man. James Harden, Jeff, still wants out of Houston. Reports are that he still wants out of Houston. We talked about it last week. He did show up. The Houston Rockets did get John Wall. They traded away Westbrook for John Wall. John Wall was under the assumption, and he came out and said that, yeah, James Harden still wants to be here. This week, you hear reports that James Harden still wants out. So rocky situation there in Houston, which we call the armpit here in Fort Worth. So I don't know if they lose James Harden, the Rockets are out of the playoffs. They do not have a team that is capable of getting there without James Harden, in my opinion, getting to the playoffs. And I feel bad because it's actually the Dallas Mavericks assistant coach that took the job in Houston. He's dealing with Diva and James Harden. They're dealing with all that going on. So I don't know what the roster is going to look like if they don't have James Harden. But he still wants out. Rumor has it. I don't know if they will make a trade or not. But the cost for James Harden is going to be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had this conversation before. And it doesn't surprise me one bit about him wanting to leave Houston. I don't think it shocks anybody in the NBA world, honestly.
And they've given him multiple teams. They've given him everything he's wanted. There's reports and rumors come out that he's a guy that's never been told no in the NBA. So we're going to see that what happens there with that. But I just don't think it's going to end up very well for either team. Or for either James Harden or Houston, whether they keep him there and he turns into a cancer in the locker room, that's not a good situation. Someone will pay the price to have him because he's an amazing basketball player. So someone will pay him if Houston's willing to listen, which I'd rather trade him than have him sitting around and not, just being a cancer in the locker room and causing issues.
Yeah.
The Clippers also signed Paul George earlier this week to a max extension for 5 years, $190 million, keeping him and Kawhi Leonard together. There was talks about them blowing it up already after what a bad season they had this last year and everything going on. But Paul George was bad in the playoffs this last season, but he is a good basketball player. It's smart to lock him up and lock him down. The Clippers are going to be a force to be reckoned with this season as well. I got one baseball note for you, Jeff. The Cleveland baseball team, the Cleveland Indians are changing their names. They're removing the Indians. They're going to be called something else, either this next season or the season after. We don't know. But it goes into the whole cancel culture and the Washington football team that used to be known as the Washington Redskins. We know all that happened this year. And look, I get it with the Redskins. That, to me is probably a pretty offensive name to some. The Cleveland Indians, I don't think that's offensive. They got rid of their offensive logo, which I thought was an awesome logo, but I could see, okay, maybe that was offensive. I don't understand how maybe they need to be changed to the Cleveland Native Americans. I don't know. I hear rumors that it's going to be the Cleveland Spiders because they used to be called the Cleveland Spiders before they took over the Indians'
That's interesting.
name. Yeah, so that would be kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
I just don't know. Are we looking into a change in the Atlanta Braves team name? Are we looking into the Kansas City Chiefs now? When is it going to end? I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Cleveland Indians, but I'm not Native American, Jeff, so I don't know how they feel about that.
I mean, and I've said this to my wife, it's companies. I mean, and businesses. And if they look at it and go, hey, enough people are complaining about this, or enough people are coming to us about it, and they want to change it, that's the only people that can change it are the people who are running the show. And so, it's kind of like, obviously the organization in Washington decided that they weren't going to do that anymore. And I think the thing here is the Cleveland, they were the Cleveland Indians, I guess, but whatever they come up with, that organization decided there's enough hollering going on. They're coming to us, and then we have to make an executive decision. Do we decide no, or do we decide yes? And then if they decide yes, then that's a decision made within the organization or on an organizational level. But whatever they come up with is, I mean, the world's going to still turn, and people who are fans of the team are still going to watch. Like, they're not going to not watch. I know people who are probably like, I'm not going to watch the Washington football team. It's like, but yet you still are going to watch. You know what I mean? It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, if all of a sudden the Dallas Cowboys are not the Dallas Cowboys anymore, they're the Arlington Cowboys. I don't think anyone's going to be like, excuse me, like, I'm not watching this. It's just, I don't know. It's a name.
Well, the biggest thing with the Redskins, right there, this has been called for a long time and talked about for a long time, but about the Washington Redskins and changing their name. And the thing that pushed it over, because the owner said, we're not changing the name. The thing that pushed them over the edge was all this cancer culture. And what had happened was they started losing sponsors. FedEx said, okay, I'm dropping out of the contract. It's not going to be FedEx Field anymore. Amazon stopped selling Redskin merchandise, and it started affecting her pocketbook. And when that happens, then things change, because the money makes the world go round in the time we live in. And so that's what happened with the Redskins. That's why they changed the name. Cleveland Indians, I think they heard that the rumors and the talks, and they decided to go ahead and get out in front of it, change their name to something else. So we'll see what happens there. But I just think it's dumb, in my opinion, but I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's just a name of a baseball team.
It's kind of, I look at it as like, I don't know. I just watch the team, like, and I don't really pay much attention. I know who they are. I know who they are. And it's just kind of like, if all of a sudden somebody comes and says, oh, well, Yankee is a bad term, we're going to call them the pinstripes. I'll be like, okay, I'm still going to watch. I don't really care. Like, I'm still going to, you're going to have the logo on there. So, I'm going to still associate, you with my team. Like, I'm not going to really care too much. If anything, it kind of, with a team, kind of like I guess a team that's hasn't done much. They've been in the playoffs a few times recently, but they haven't really done a whole lot. Maybe this is a good time to just refresh the team, a new face, a new thing to associate themselves with. So it's kind of interesting, because even with like the Washington football team, that's a new thing for them, where it's like you have a fresh slate where, people know who you used to be, and this new name, even though it may be weird or whatever, it could be something. Because, I mean, look at them now; they're actually playing pretty well. So it's just kind of weird. But and then again, the fan base kind of gets behind it, right? They go and buy the new hat, they go and buy the new jersey, they go and buy the new, and so it's kind of interesting, because as much as it seems odd or strange, in a lot of ways, it can benefit the team, because there's new stuff to buy. There's like this new face to the team. And it's like this, you're like, it's kind of like resetting a team and saying, hey, don't remember all the bad stuff we did. Let's just get rid of that and let's start fresh. We're a new team, and so it's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
And when they changed the Redskins and they changed to the Washington football team, I talked about in the episode that it's smart in marketing because you're going to have people going out and buying the Washington football team jerseys, the Washington football team hats and shirts. And then when they change their name, you're going to have people going back and buying the Washington whatevers they are. So it's smart marketing, and they're actually, the cancel culture is like, let's, but they're actually giving this organization more money, except the fact that I think the owner is about to lose his ownership in the NFL with all the sexual misconduct that's been going on. That's a whole different story. But we'll see what happens there. Where are you? Well, with the ownership of the Redskins.
I mean, it's kind of like you're talking about the cancel culture in general. Like I mentioned this, my dad talked to me one time and he was like, I think it was the Aunt Jemima thing or whatever. And I was just like, he was like, you believe it? And I'm like, I don't really think think twice. I mean, I go and get maple syrup. I get maple syrup. I don't really pay attention to which one I get. Usually if it's, if there's like a fancy one that has some cool extra, like one of them I saw the other day had like different kinds of, it was like different ingredients in it that made it different or whatever. And then a little pricier one or whatever. But I'm just like, it's just maple syrup, like I don't really care which. I'm not looking at it and going, oh man, let me put this bottle on my shelf because this is, it's just, I don't think twice. It's just maple syrup to me. Like it doesn't change I don't get mad about it. I'm just kind of like, I don't care. Like nobody thinks twice about it. You go to the store, you grab what you need and get the hell out of there. Like you just, I don't know. I don't think twice about it. I just,
and it's so funny too, like, cause that goes the same long line of like, oh, well, this restaurant, they support this and they put their money into that. And I'm not eating there ever again. I'm like, if I want a chicken sandwich, I want a chicken sandwich. I don't care about the company's beliefs or whatever. If I want that chicken sandwich, I'm going to go there. I'm going to pay and I'm going to get my chicken sandwich. I have it's no big deal. It's the same thing. It's just,
it's kind of interesting. Cause I think like, if there's anything that people are allowed to do, they're allowed to kind of make, executive decisions on their own with their own money. And so I think that if somebody decides, oh, well, I don't want to do that, or I don't like this, well then, okay, don't buy it. And so then if you don't buy it, then you're kind of already making your own statement. So it's just kind of like, it's like, well, if I don't want, Taco Bell, then go Taco Bueno. It's just, you have options to, I don't like Xbox for whatever reason, so I don't buy their stuff, and so there's
many reasons, Jeff. Reasons.
But it's like, that's kind of like, the thing is it's kind of like right now CD Projekt Red and the Cyberpunk debacle. And, there's people who are like, I want refunds. And I'm like, you're going to end up buying that game again. Like, once they patch it out, you're going to buy it again.
They are handing out refunds.
Yeah, they are handing out refunds and that's fine. I completely agree with it. But I think that you're going to end up getting it again. Because as much as it's like, oh man, I have my PS4, when PS5s become more and more available, you're going to end up getting it. And then you're going to end up being like, oh, I want Cyberpunk again, and it's like, at that point they could charge for the PS5 version, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of, it may be a year or so down the road, but they've supported that game. So I'm just kind of like, I mean, I get the refund thing, but it's, it's a little, I think when it comes to certain things, like we have a lot more power than we think we do. We don't have to buy something right away. We can support this thing as opposed to that thing. And so it's kind of like making a smart choice and without having to cause a bunch of hoopla. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, the world we live in today, it's, I don't like this and I'm going to try to end that product or whatever. They want to totally ruin it. And no one else can do this. I'm like, I don't know why you boycott it for your personal beliefs and reasons and all that good stuff. And I'm still going to do it because I don't care. I want that whatever, but
right.
That's all, yeah. So let's jump into the spotlight. Yeah, let's jump into a tangent on this crap. No, let's jump into the spotlight of the week, and we kind of teased it last week. Does Coach McCarthy get a pass on this historically bad Cowboys team that he took over, and it's historically bad defense, especially? So we're going to go through some different things here. I noticed some quite a bit of notes here on it, and I just kind of want to get your feedback on it as well. So number one, the coach came in, and when he came in, he decided to keep Kellen Moore, which is the offensive coordinator. He decided to keep him to make things transition better, especially with the COVID year, especially not having the offseason, to transition better with his offense and Dak Prescott, and kind of keep the things the same and similar in offense, so they'd have an easier way to run their offense, especially the first year with no off season and or limited off season and everything going on. But however, they brought in a new defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan, and they forced the defense to learn a whole new system. Jerry Jones came on 105.3 The Fan and said that was a mistake. That was an issue. That's why the defenses look so bad. Now, to me, that is on Coach McCarthy. He should be criticized for hiring Mike Nolan. And Mike Nolan has his past track record makes you wonder why he was even hired in the first place. He's been everywhere he's gone. He's been horrible. His defenses have been horrible. The last time he took over a defense was in 2016. He had the 32nd ranked defense in the league. Last year, he was the Saints linebacker coach. Mike McCarthy brought him in. There was rumors that he only brought him in because they were friends, and he gave Mike McCarthy his first hire. So I do think you can criticize Mike McCarthy for bringing in Mike Nolan and making the defense change up schemes. They made it easy for the offense. Why did they think it was such a good idea to change up the defense? Because we're into week 13, 14 of the year, and the defense has gotten better, but there's still plays where they look confused out there on the field. So that to me is a knock against Coach McCarthy and that first aspect we bring into this. Jeff, do you have any opinions on that? And, Jerry Jones said it was a mistake to bring in and force our defense to change up with such with no off season because of COVID.
That can be an issue for sure. It could be deeper than that. I do know that as much as the season has been crazy and whatever, even with like my team, for example, we also had a weird season. We've had tons of injuries. We don't even know what the heck's going on with our cornerback situation. We're about to go into the game against a top defense. So yet, even with all the injuries we've had, no Von Miller, Bradley Chubb being out for an extended period of time at one point to start the season off. Blatant, tons of injuries and stuff. Yet our defense is still pretty good. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think we've had any coaching shakeup, but if the players are still good, if this defense is still an elite defense, I'm not understanding how that could just completely crumble like that over one guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
If you're talented, if you have talented players, they can learn any system and they can make it work. The Cowboys defense is literally historically bad for Dallas. that's one thing they talk about too on 105 to all the time is that this defense is exactly the same, except you lost Byron Jones to Miami. Other than that, it's the same team. So does that go to Jerry Jones on being the GM? Having the lack of talent on that side of football, or was that Mike McCarthy bringing in and hiring Mike Nolan, who his defense, supposedly his players were calling for us to dumb down the defense. They just need to dumb it down.
But don't you think that if they did that, don't you think that if that was being said in the meetings, in pregame preps and all this stuff, even going back and looking at videotapes of defense when the defense breaks down, whatever, because that's what they do, pregame stuff, pre-week, game week stuff. So it's just don't you think that would have already happened at this point? Now, granted, they did have a pretty good game this last game, but not to take anything away, but it was, it was against the Bengals.
With a backup quarterback, they didn't have Joe Burrow. I'm not taking anything out of this game. They should have won this game. They won 30-7. No big deal. Now, this Jalen Smith in third game of the season said we need to dump down the defense because it's too difficult right now. Blah blah blah. Coach McCarthy came out and said we're not dumbing down the defense. Right after that, we're not dumbing it down. And to me, that was confusing. I'm like, well, if your players are calling for this because they don't understand, I don't understand why you wouldn't go that path and dumbing it down. And then 2 or 3 weeks after that, they asked the question again, and Coach McCarthy did say they did dumb it down. So there's a lot of confusion right there in the beginning of the season. So it's all about him coaching his team and teaching his team and how he wants them to play and everything and listening to his players. That happened earlier in the season. And I was like, that makes no sense. Your players are literally saying, we need to dumb it down. And you're out here saying we're not going to. So I was confused a little bit on that.
When did he say they did?
It was this is middle of the season, probably week 6.
But they were still bad.
Oh yeah, they were still bad. You still had players out of positions. And I fault most of this on the defense coordinator, Mike Nolan, but the head coach is the one that hired him. So he has to take blame for that hire and it being so bad this season.
I think this is also another instance of, I think they've just been riding the coattails of Dak. I think they were like, oh, Dak's going to put up 30 points, right? 40 points. Offense is going to high score. And then once you have that notion, then I think the defense typically is like, hey, we just got to, it's a little easy for us. And now that he's out and now that they have to worry about, are we even going to score a touchdown this game? It's a little, I think we're starting to see the true nature of this defense. Are they legit or are they not? And, a team that has, for example, the Broncos have had a good defense pretty much most of the season. Okay. With the injuries and everything. We've had a pretty good, if not one of the top defenses, not the top, but one of the top defenses in the NFL in terms of, stopping, points against the defense and yards and all that kind of stuff. Now, there's an exception with some of the games, like I think one of the Chief games, the first one, they kind of ran it down our throats. But other than that, we've pretty much solidified teams and kind of kept them and held them down. But the problem is our offense couldn't score. See, and so even though our offense wasn't scoring, our defense was still doing their job.
Right.
That's where I'm like, are we seeing the true nature of this defense because Dak's out? Is this who they really are?
Yeah, last year the Dallas Cowboy defense wasn't all that great either. They let go of Byron Jones, which was a big mistake. I talked a little bit about that. Is he was their best coverage corner. They let him go. They didn't want to pay him the money. To bolster up this, so let's get into the free agents they added, okay, Jeff? The free agents that the Dallas Cowboys have signed have all been misses this offseason. Everybody, Jeff. They brought in McCoy from the Panthers, and what's his face? They brought in McCoy. Did I put it down? They brought in McCoy and someone else. McCoy didn't play it down for him. He blew out his leg, got injured during practice. It was a non-contact injury. They brought in someone else that played for the Panthers next to him, and Don Terry Poe. Don Terry Poe was the guy they brought in, and my Cowboy friends are like, "Oh man, we bolstered up defensive line," and I'm like, the guys that you just picked up were on the Panthers, who last year ranked 30th in run defense. So that's not very good. Don Terry Poe got traded. McCoy didn't even make a game. The only guy that they actually hit on was Aldon Smith. But he's faded away a little bit because he hasn't played football in 5 years. So all those guys that they brought in didn't make it. Clinton Dix, who's played for the Green Bay Packers, couldn't even make it during the preseason program. They cut him, and then you watch this defense of Dallas Cowboys and the quarterbacks, and I'm like, how bad did Clinton Dix have to be not to make a defense that looks this bad? So they missed on every single free agent going into the season. That's a big miss. They thought they could just add a couple veterans in and be okay. Everson Griffin, they picked up from the Minnesota Vikings, who I thought was a good pickup. Everson Griffin has done pretty good in Minnesota. He comes over. He did nothing for them. He was also one that I believe that was talking about how the coaches don't know what they're doing and leaking information. They ended up cutting and getting rid of a bunch of those guys. So that's something you got to put back on McCarthy too. And their scouting department and the GM is they miss on bringing in help this offseason to the defense. And every one of those guys has been misses. And Aldon Smith at one point looked like their best defensive player. And that's telling when he hasn't played a game in 5 years. He was decent in the beginning. He had a fumble pickup for a run against the Bengals. But like we said, it's against the Bengals. Coach McCarthy.
The thing is what this too is that I think that seems like they were trying not to spend a lot. And so they were trying to do like a money ball situation. Where it's just, which is like, oh, let's find, players that might have been thrown away that still have stuff in the tank. I kind of harken back to where he played for the Cowboys defensive. I'm trying to think. He was on the Super Bowl team with the Broncos.
DeMarcus
Ware. And, a lot of people were like, oh, he's washed up. He came to Denver and played amazing. Matter of fact, he actually helped Von Miller as like a mentor. It was awesome. And so, seeing him kind of teach Von Miller things and explain to him maybe what he was doing wrong and all this stuff, turned Von Miller into a MVP basically that year. And it was just amazing. And you can do that sometimes, but if you try to build your team around that with a bunch of them, you're going to miss. And I think that we're seeing a little bit of an issue with the cap going on with the Cowboys because they can't just go buy. They can't just go buy a stud. Like they can't go out. They're not going to be able to go out and buy get free agents that are like, hey man, you're going to, this person's coming to Dallas and this person's coming to Dallas. Oh man, here we go. And I think that that's just going to get worse if and when they sign Dak to a huge contract. Cause you got that big one that's sitting on the shoulders of Elliott, and then the impending one sitting on the shoulders of Dak. And I think that this team, the identity needs to be, I guess, our defense is okay. They will kind of keep us in the game. And our offense needs to score, 40 some odd points to win games, which is fine. It's fine. If that's who you are, that's fine. I mean, that's kind of how the Chiefs are. Their defense is, it's okay. It's not elite. It's not number one defense. It's all right. But their offense is what sets that off. And I think that every now and then you can pull it off and you can actually get to the Super Bowl, maybe win the Super Bowl. But I think consistently doing something like that, I don't think it's ever really worked out like that consistently good for teams. I think you need to have a good defense to stop another team from scoring points, because you start getting in a shootout and you run that risk of whoever has that ball at the end has that they have the say so now.
Right. So getting back into Coach McCarthy coming in, he talked about how he went to the barn. He took the year off. He went to the barn and tried to learn to be more analytical, use the analytics in football and change some things that he's done in the past to be more up to date with offense. And he's come in, he came in and he's been more aggressive than Jason Garrett, but that doesn't say much because Jason Garrett wasn't aggressive at all. He's been more aggressive with Jason Garrett. But I try and tell my buddies, just because he's more aggressive doesn't mean it's smart. Going for it, a lot of teams go for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 3 and stuff like that. I understand that. That's just the way football is going nowadays. But just because you're aggressive does not make it smart. Going back to one of the worst decisions I've ever seen, a fake punt, Jeff. They were down by 4 against the Washington football team. This is when this division was still up in the air. They were down by 4 in the fourth quarter, and they decided to fake a punt on their own 23-yard line. Jeff, they fake a punt. They bring a guy on the end around. He grabs the ball, and then it wasn't 4th and 1. It was 4th and 10, Jeff. He gets tackled at the 23-yard line. The next play, the Washington football team run the ball 23 yards for a touchdown, basically sealing the deal for the Washington football team and allows them to basically they have the advantage over the Dallas Cowboys. That was a couple weeks ago. That was they were talking all on the radio about how that was the dumbest decision. One of the dumbest decisions they've ever seen on a football field. It made no sense. No one in the history punts the ball or tries to fake punt with that situation going on. And like I said, just because you're more aggressive does not mean it's smart. Sometimes it's careless. He has gone for it. The analytics say he has made the right decisions on going for it on 4th and 2 and 4th and 1 on the other side of the yard, field and stuff. And I listen, like I talk about all the time, I listen to 105.3 The Fan. There's a guy named RJ Choppy, and they are able to get a lot of more of the analytical numbers than we are. And he was talking just today about ranking of coaches. This is the website ranks the coaches each week on how their decisions gave their team a better chance to win percentage-wise. Coach McCarthy is number 17 or 18 in the league as far as their standings go, as far as them making in-game decisions on changing the outcome of the game. So that's not very good. Not where you would like it to be for the Dallas Cowboys. More aggressiveness does not mean smart. I'll say that again. Let's see. So I got 2 more things going in here, and this goes back kind of to what we're talking about a little bit earlier about how his defense said, hey, we need to dumb it down, and he says he's not dumbing it down, and then they dumbed it down a couple weeks later. So the offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys have been depleted this year. They've been completely depleted. They've had to change in and out people left and right. They had a bunch of rookie starters that they didn't even expect to be on the field this year, and which makes a hard job for obviously Andy Dalton and Zeke to do their jobs. Now, Zach Martin is one of the best offensive linemen in the league, if not the best. He's up there. He's a Pro Bowl offensive lineman for them. So they were talking to coach and they said, "Hey, why don't we move? Why don't y'all move Zach Martin to the left tackle position, and you can fill up some other the left guard and other stuff with other players to get your best 5 offensive linemen out on the field," because at the time they felt like they were still playing really bad players in the left tackle position, which was causing a lot of pressure. And they're like, well, if you move Zach Martin out there, because he can be moved anywhere and play really well, you can put some more veteran players on the offensive line in the other positions, and you'll be able to have your best 5 out there. And Coach McCarthy basically laughed it off and said, this isn't fantasy football. We're not doing that. Well, Jeff, 2 weeks later, they did that. They made that change, and the offensive line played way better. So that makes you believe that wasn't Coach McCarthy's decision, because Coach just came out and laughed about it, right? That was probably Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones saying, "Hey, you're going to make that decision." So that's not ever a good thing when you're like, we're not doing this, and then someone comes above your head and says you are doing that, and kind of makes you look a little foolish. They are coaching your football team.
I mean, that's what I was kind of trying to say, is like, who's coaching this team, McCarthy or the Joneses? And it seems like the Joneses. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how a coach can. I mean, whether McCarthy believes it or not. I mean, I'm sure if it's not working, then obviously change things up. But I mean, I don't know. It may have not been Jerry. May have not been anybody from the Joneses that told him what to do. It could have been maybe his coordinators, and his assistants and stuff. So, could have been them.
Right. So I got one more thing, Jeff, before I wrap it up with my final decision on giving Coach McCarthy a break this year or not. Number 5 I have is the Dallas Cowboys lose their starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, a top 10 quarterback in the league, in my opinion, Jeff. But even when Dak was in there, they weren't playing that great at all. They were 1-3 before he got hurt. Now, that being said, anytime you lose a starting quarterback, franchise quarterback, I'm going to give you a break. If Aaron Rodgers got hurt, we've seen it before, my season's over. It's done. We're not winning. Game over. Throw in the white flag. Let me see where I'm drafting next year, because it's kaput. McCarthy came in during the COVID year, no offseason program, new defense, which he is to be held responsible for. Injuries left and right. The Dallas Cowboys have the most depleted football team in the NFL, right along with the 49ers, where, if you lose a left guard, okay, well, I'm not giving you an excuse. You lose a safety, not giving you an excuse. The Dallas Cowboys have lost a lot of their offensive linemen, their left tackle. They lost their starting quarterback. They've lost some safeties. They've lost this. They've had a lot of the team that they want to be out there on the field, they've lost due to injury. So I know I've been a little harsh on Coach McCarthy. I know I have had all these excuses, not excuses, but all these reasons why maybe he's not the best fit. I thought it was going to be a good fit when they hired him. Maybe it's not. Aaron Rodgers, that was a big issue with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers and Coach McCarthy. Aaron Rodgers thought McCarthy was one of the dumbest football minds. He questioned his smarts when it came, and the knowledge of football when it came to Coach McCarthy. I'm going to give Coach McCarthy a break, Jeff, this year. I'm going to give him the break because they lost Dak Prescott. If they had lost, if they didn't lose Dak Prescott and they were still this bad, I would not be giving him a break. But because they've had cluster injuries, because they lost their franchise quarterback in Dak Prescott, because of the COVID, because of the no offseason program, all those things going against them, I'm going to cut him some slack this year and this year only. They asked those questions to Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones about, is Coach McCarthy's job on the line? They asked it this week, and they thought, Jerry Jones' exact words is, that's a ridiculous question. Of course, he's going to be here next year. So his job is already safe. Now, they've also mentioned in the article, there's an article written too about it, that Mike Nolan's job is in question, which I think that's the change the Dallas Cowboys make next year. They bring in a new defensive coordinator. They make that change. Their draft needs to be on the defensive side. And Coach McCarthy will still have next season to go. He's under a 5-year contract, Jeff. So if they really wanted to get rid of him, they'd have to pay out of pocket to do so. But Coach McCarthy, and I knew from the beginning of the year that Jerry Jones and them were not going to even consider cutting Coach McCarthy. And another question to bring up, that was a good question that they brought up, is even if Jeff, the Jerry Jones and his son Steven thought that Coach McCarthy needed to go, that they made a mistake, do you think they would own up to saying that they made a mistake and actually cut Coach McCarthy? And you're exactly right. They would not do that, because they would admit that they made a mistake. I don't believe they would anyways. Coach McCarthy's future is safe in Dallas, I believe. I'm going to give him a break. I expect the Jones to give him a break this year. Are you going to give him a break? Are you calling for Coach McCarthy that you think he should lose his job?
Well, here's the thing. I'm giving him a break because it's year one. I don't care. Here's the thing. There's one thing that I just get sick and tired of when it comes to this team, and it's the constant and obnoxiously many excuses after excuses after excuses after excuses. And it's just like, the fans need to sit there and go, you know what? This team needs to own up to their stuff. Every other team has to do it. They just do. Like, there is no excuse. I mean, you just constantly just like grabbing something. Oh, well, it's because of COVID. Okay, sure. What about next year? Oh, well, it's because of a new scheme. Okay. Because we got a new defense, or we got a new offensive coordinator. We got whatever. It's just like, when is there going to be something? For years it was, it's because of Jason Garrett. Oh, it's because Romo can't play when it matters. Oh, it's because the offensive line sucks. Oh, it's because we don't have a defense. It's just always, because Romo was out for 6 games. No, you got to constantly grab something. And when you're a fan of a team and you have to constantly look for a reason why you're losing, as opposed to sitting there and going, you know what? We just are not that good right now. And maybe we'll be good next year.
That's the culture being built there in Dallas.
And it's just like, it's always grabbing something. Like, always. And it's weird to me. And the beginning of the season, we saw a perfect example of that. 1-3. They were about to be 0-4. They were actually really close to being 0-4. Matter of fact, there was a very big possibility they should be 0-4 before that.
A watermelon kick alone.
Yeah. So I'm telling you right now, if you seemed like you were a pretty decent team at that point, but yet you were still losing. So what's the excuse? I mean, it's just, there's always one. There's always one. Oh, Zeke wasn't running that well. Okay. Our defense didn't play good. I mean, what?
Let me tell you something. Let me go on the record here and say Ezekiel Elliott is I'm not picking him up in fantasy ever again. Let me just say that he is he's not good. He's fell off the wagon a lot. He's just not that good. And you're exactly right. And even Stephen Jones came on the radio the other day, and they're like, well, I'm not, I'm not trying to make any excuses, but when you hear that but, here come the excuses. You're exactly right about the excuses, and it's the refs or our left tackle got hurt. I'm like, who cares? It's your left tackle does not determine whether you win or lose the game. Cluster injuries, in my opinion, is a big thing where if you lose two offensive linemen and a defense, and then if you lose if you lose an elite quarterback, I'm going to give you a break.
Yeah,
but you're exactly right. Other than that, I don't feel sorry for you. In all honesty, but
I mean, but the thing is what will it be next year?
Right.
Because there will be a next year. There's going to be something that happens. Or always something that happens with this team every time.
So I got something.
What is it going to be next year? If they start 0-4, what is the excuse?
I got something for you, Jeff.
We still can't figure out how to play on defense with the new system. Still?
Yeah. So I got something very interesting, Jeff, and I did not know this. And it's not in the rundown. It is about the Dallas Cowboys, since we are talking about Coach McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is going to Jerry Jones. So, I'm listening to the fan the other day, and brought up a really good point. Jerry Jones comes out and says, if you guys knew the amount of money I'd put on a check and I'd write it today to win another Super Bowl, I'd do it today in a heartbeat, and it'd be a sick amount of money, a lot of money, basically. So on the G-Bag Nation, there's this guy named Jeff, and he's like, he goes, that's a lie. That's false. And I'll tell you why. He goes, this is a good point. Back in the day, Jeff, when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls and there was no salary cap, Jerry Jones, he talks about spending all the money, to win a ring. And he was like, he didn't spend all the money then. He was 17th in paying his players in the league when that happened. And Jerry Jones wins the league to fight for. Jerry Jones is one of the guys who fought for a salary cap. And they were like, it's because he knew he was going to have to pay all these good players. And he didn't want to pay all these good players. He wasn't paying them anyways. He was the 17th. He was below halfway down on the totem pole of paying the big checks for his players. And he knew he was going to have to pay a bunch of those good players. So he fought for a salary cap. So he didn't have to write the big check to win more Super Bowls. I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
I did not know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. And the time that he wasn't, you figure with a team like that, they would be up in the top 5 in payroll, but they were actually number 17. And he knew, oh crap, I'm going to have to pay all this money. I better.
Well, and a perfect example is him being like, I don't know if I want to pay that. Okay. I mean,
yep.
He got to a point where he almost didn't even pay Zeke. I mean, that was getting dicey. So, well, right. But in general, I think it was just that was getting dicey, and a lot of fans were getting vocal, and here we go. We're doing the same thing with that. It's going to come down to the wire.
I'll tell you what, Jeff.
And he's made comments recently about Dak.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Jeff. One quick thing in Green Bay. Our running back, Aaron Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
You say he's a good running back, right? I mean, he's great. He's catch the ball in the backfield and can do all these things. Well, he won't be a Green Bay Packer next year, Jeff. So he fired his agents and he signed a guy named Drew Rosenhaus. And Drew Rosenhaus is a guy that gets max contracts for all of his clients. So I'm like, see you later, Aaron Jones. It was nice having you on our team, but we're not paying you Ezekiel Elliott. We're not paying you top 3 running back money, bro. So sucks to see him go, but I knew we weren't going to be able to afford him at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But let's get into the top 5 games of next week, Jeff. Before we wrap it up here, top 5 games of Week 15. Number 1 is the Chiefs versus the Saints. Now, the Chiefs should win this game. I'm going to predict them to win this game. Saints are still playing Taysom Hill as far as I know. I don't know when Drew Brees is going to be back or not. The Saints said they're not rushing Drew Brees back for this game. Taysom Hill's, in my opinion, not all that great, and I don't know how he's going to be able to keep up with the scoring offense of Kansas City. I don't understand why they don't throw Jameis Winston in there, a guy that can actually throw the ball downfield. But I got the Chiefs winning this game, which helps me out even better because Green Bay will get up. Right now, Green Bay and the Saints are tied with record, but since we beat them, we have the tie break. So if they lose and we win this week, we'll go up 2 games up, almost sealing the first round of the first seed in the NFC.
I'll go with the Chiefs on this one. I don't trust the Saints winning this game just because I don't think they have the firepower to match Mahomes.
Exactly right.
So.
And the defense of Saints is a top 3 defense this year. That's what could elevate them to be really good in the playoffs. But we just saw it against the Miami. Miami has a top 5 defense. Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions, and Miami still won. The Chiefs still won. So I don't think the Saints are going to be able to do what Miami did and come close to picking them off 3 times. So the Chiefs won this game. Number 2 is Seattle versus the Washington football team. And I put this down here because Seattle has been struggling as of late. They just came out and beat the Jets. They beat them 40-6 or something like that. But it was the Jets, right? So you're not really like, okay, it's the Jets. You're not giving them praise. Washington football team came off of beating and upsetting the Steelers last week. They played this last week, and I don't know if they won. Yeah, they won this last weekend as well. They took the division right now, leading the NFC least. I've got Seattle winning this game, though. I think Seattle continues to get better, and I don't know. Alex Smith was out of the game last week. He got hurt in the game with the Washington football team. I don't know if he's playing. If he's not playing, you need to bring in Haskins. This game's already over. If Alex Smith is able to play, they can keep it close. I still think Seattle gets the job done.
I think Seattle will get the job done in this game. I don't know. Man, it's so weird because Washington's just like this weird team right now where you don't think they'll win.
Right.
And then they could. So it's just
we projected them to beat the Steelers, and we were right on that.
Yeah, that's true.
Their defense is good.
Yeah. Oh man, it's hard to go against freaking Seattle.
It's hard to go against Russell. It is.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with Seattle.
So. All right, Jeff, and that is it. There is literally no other good games this weekend, Jeff.
So this isn't the top 5 games. This is the top 2.
I know. It's the top 2. There's nothing. You got Green Bay and the Panthers on Saturday night, which I'll pick the Packers to win that. But I was going through looking, and I could not find 5 games that I'm like, oh, man, that's going to be a good matchup. Oh, this is going to be for the division. Oh, this is good. There's just not out there. You can you can look it up now if you want, but there's not any really good games out there. I was like, I don't even know what to put down. I could throw out 3 more games that are going to be crap, but I wasn't. Those are the top 2 games of the weekend. We do have football on Saturday this week. You got the Packers and the Panthers. I don't know the other game. Let me check real quick. The other game.
The Broncos play.
The Broncos play on Saturday? Let me check.
I think they do. Or Thursday. Saturday or Thursday?
Well, the Thursday football game is the Chargers-Raiders. Oh, yeah, it's the Broncos and the Bills. And I didn't put this game on there because the Bills should win this game. They're one of the top teams in the league. So I think they win that game. And then you got the Packer game late. You know, it's Bucks, Falcons. You got the Niners and Cowboys who got flexed out of the Sunday night game. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Ravens blowout. The Colts and Texans. Colts should win that one. You got Titans and Lions. Titans, Patriots and Dolphins. The Dolphins should win that one. Bears, Vikings. Like, there's not very many good teams. You got the Jets and Rams, which the Rams will stomp a muddle in them. It's going to be bad.
That's going to be the one game.
The Monday night game is the Steelers and Bengals, and then the Sunday night
Steelers are going to murder them.
It's going to be over. Browns and Giants, which that might be okay. I don't think so. See, there's no other good games, Jeff. There literally is nothing. I was like, no, that's just yeah. So I only threw out two. Only other reason I drew out the number 2 is because the Washington football team have been known to upset teams. So that could be it. The Washington. I looked up the defensive stats standings the other day, and they actually have like the number 2 defense in the league. So it's like, man, if you think about it, if they add a quarterback, and they add another weapon on the outside, maybe a good tight end, you might be, they could be doing something there in Washington, with the head coach. But that is it. That is all we got here for the week. It's for the Watson's Playbook episode 31. I don't know about you, but it seems like this month has been flying by.
Yeah, I think it's towards the end of the year, and people are excited to get out of here, to get out of this.
Yeah, it's a horrible year, and it's not going to be over, next year, I don't think, but it'll start to get better, hopefully, through the next, hopefully, like
now that they have now they have the vaccines and stuff, I think it'll get less and less. So
yeah, they have. Let's take a person here took it today. The first woman in North America or North Texas to take it. They're coming out. I'm not getting one, but if y'all feel like doing it, by all means, do it.
I think it's going to healthcare workers first, which makes sense.
Yeah, definitely does make sense.
It's kind of crazy. It's like, like my mom, like for example, my uncle has it. He's in the hospital.
Oh.
So he's on a ventilator right now. So, and that I found out a couple days ago. Huh?
They should get the shot.
Well, he now that he has it, I don't think it works. I think he'd have to be COVID free to get it, probably. I think. I don't know. It's kind of like when you get the flu, you don't go get the flu shot. You know what I mean? Like if you haven't gotten it. I think. I think it could reverse the effects, or it could make it worse, or something like that. I don't know. But like my mom, so my little sister Leia got it. So my mom possibly has it. So she went and got tested Monday. So she's waiting Thursday to get the results back. She's not feeling good, but she doesn't know if she has it or not. But kind of crazy. It's like, a lot of people that I didn't think I would know anybody that got it, but now that I'm starting to know people that have it, I'm like,
right. I've known one person. Two people that have had it. He used to be my uncle, but he's not anymore. George, he had it. Actually, 3. My brother-in-law had it. He said it got pretty scary for him. Not like he had to go to the hospital, but he said like the 3rd day into it, he thought he wasn't gonna be able to breathe. Very hard to breathe for him, but after the 3rd or 4th day, it kind of eased up and was good to go. So.
Yeah, it affects people differently. It's so weird.
That's the thing. It's so weird about it. Bryan Cranston had it. The actor, he says months after, he still can't really taste anything. So that sucks. But that's the thing with the shot. They've rushed the shot out, which understandably I get it. But it's the first shot of its kind ever to be approved for human consumption. And we won't know the side effects of the shot until years down the road. So I don't feel comfortable taking it. I'm not going to take it unless I'm on my deathbed with COVID and they say this shot will cure you. Then I'll take it. But I just hope it doesn't come down to a mandatory thing where you have to take a shot or kids have to get the shot before they get back to school. I don't like that idea. I think that is. In all honesty, I think it's against our rights as American citizens to not be forced to put something in our body that we don't want to. That's how I personally feel about it. But, you know, by all means, if you guys want to feel better going to take it, go do it. Go take it. I'm not here to say don't take it, but I'm telling you, I'm not getting it. My kids aren't getting it, and my wife isn't getting it. So,
you know what's interesting? Like when it comes to like history. So like when they did, like there was a big backlash in history. There's always been backlash about like vaccines. So like when the polio vaccine was backlash, isn't that weird? Like all these different ones that now it's like you gotta get it before you even go to school.
I've seen that. Well, and it's funny because I'm not anti-vaxxer personally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. And my kids got all their shots, and I got all my shots when I was growing up, and that's fine. But to have this shot, never, you know, we won't know the results. It's just like when they did the when they did the electronic cigarettes. They had no history of it. So we were literally, the people who did it were literally the guinea pigs. And they turned out that they say it could be worse than smoking and all this crap. And you turn out all these things. And so I'm just, for the first shot of its kind ever, it's called like an mRNA shot, where some people says it messes with your DNA. Some people says it's not going to. I don't know. I just don't want to take that risk. I'm not one to trust in the government like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it all depends on who's you know, and again, like it kind of depends on who's living at your house and stuff too. I think that if you have somebody who's could easily get, if they got sick, could die, like, and you're living at their home taking care of them or whatever, then if anybody's listening, that would be something to think about too, to kind of at least to protect them. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of, it's a tricky thing, and
it's a 2-shot series. You have to get shot and then go back in a couple of days, I think, get another one. And they say, from what I've looked up, that the second shot will make you they say you're going to need to take off work. It's going to make you feel like crap. But it's vital that you go back and take the second shot and all that stuff. But do your research.
I think when you take the second shot, supposedly your immunity to it is like insane. So, I mean, it's kind of like the possibility of you getting COVID is extremely rare. It's a lot rarer than if you obviously got one or maybe didn't get any. But yeah, it's tricky.
They were talking about making Biden and what's her face, Harris or whatever, and Obama and George W. Bush said they'll all take it to get others to take it, but whatever. But that's about it. That's all I got on COVID talk. I hope that middle of next year we're kind of looking at the down part of this and going, man, that was a crazy time, and we can get past this and move on. I know I should be moving into my house in April, so that's going to be a really good year or a good month for me getting into the house. And so we're just kind of packing things up right now and kind of throwing away things we need to get rid of, and looking forward to that. But we're still a little bit of ways from there. So, but that's about it, Jeff. Do you have any Christmas plans going on next week?
We're at home, so we're just gonna be here. If my mom gets tested positive, then there's no way we're going to my mom's. Stay away from there. Yeah. So, and if she tests positive, then she's gonna have a few days, I guess, more with it than Leia does. So I think it's been a roller coaster. Like Leia will feel good one day, and then the next day she feels like crap. And so my mom is kind of feeling that like on and off wave sickness. Yeah. So, it sucks because if she gets it, it's tricky because she has diabetes. So it's like, you rest. Yeah. My dad, he kind of freaks out a little bit because he had a stroke. So if he gets it, the possibility of him getting a stroke again is high. So that's kind of a crazy thing. So I don't think my dad's doing anything either. But so yeah, we're just gonna be here. I think we're gonna go see lights. We're gonna go drive around the neighborhood, see some lights, and then yeah, just chill out here, man. Just kind of take it easy. I have a couple days off. I have Christmas Eve off, and I have Christmas Day off. So I'll have a long weekend. And so yeah,
nice.
we'll probably chill out. I know we're gonna watch the Wonder Woman movie. And
yeah, you know that's right.
And then we'll probably watch. Usually Christmas Eve we watch Home Alone 1 and 2.
Yes.
That's always.
That's what I love about this time of year too. Is traditions and pass them on to your kids or your family or just doing those things. Every year we make sausage balls for Christmas morning.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Or we do that every single year. My brother Cole is coming over Christmas Eve. We're doing our family kind of get together then, and then Christmas Day, Lindsay's coming over. We're spreading it out, I guess, so we don't have too many people over at the house at the same time. And Lindsay's coming over the next day with his kids and do Christmas with them as well. So that's all we got going on. I'm off on Christmas Day. That's about it. So.
Yeah. Are you off for the weekend?
No, I'm not.
No.
So yeah, I have to go in on Saturday and work a little bit, so it'll be nice and short. But something they've changed up here that we're not very happy about. But we're trying to get it turned back to the way it was. So at work, but I don't want to get into it because it would be a long conversation. But
okay.
But we're trying to get that changed back. And but yeah, man, just text me on Thursday or whatever. Whenever you find out, let me know if your mom has it or not. So I'll keep her and hopefully that if Leia has it, then your mom probably does have it, unfortunately, because they're in the same house.
Yeah.
But I hope not, man. I'll save a prayer for them and hopefully get better.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, I'll catch you next week. I'm still guessing we're doing an episode next week. It'll be a couple days before Christmas, so we should be able to get an episode in. If not, then we will put one out sometime the week after or so. But we should still be able to get one in. But I think
we'll be able to. We'll be able to kind of talk about what will be the upcoming Christmas games for basketball.
Oh, I forget, man. It's so close to starting, man.
It makes me kind of want to get 2K. I'm thinking about it.
Right. Well, all right, buddy. I'm gonna let you go. Watch this playbook. Reach out to us, guys. You've heard it before. Watch this playbook at gmail.com. Watson_playbook on Twitch. Jeff's always streaming games up there. Go check out the Cyberpunk on the PS5. Go check that out. Just great at putting up videos up there. He's been playing the campaign of the new Call of Duty Cold War on the PS5. So go check out those graphics. Go check out all that. You can reach us on any platform, just about Twitter, Facebook, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast from. We're more than likely on there. And we hope you guys like our show. Thanks for listening, guys. Share this with your friends. Hope you guys have a great and fantastic week. Stay warm and stay safe. Thanks, Jeff, for jumping on with me, buddy.
No problem. Take care, everybody.